which is known as STEM Knowledge Translation Faucet, where we empower learners across African universities to transform their STEM knowledge into practical solutions for real-world challenges facing Africa. Our primary goal is to equip students with a framework for translating their STEM knowledge into actionable solutions. We believe in fostering a culture of innovation and problem-solving within the African STEM community. Our objectives are clear. Provide learners with a structured approach to translating their STEM knowledge. Encourage innovation and critical thinking among STEM students. Incentivize learning through our Learn to Earn program, where students earn Actuate tokens. Promote the development of solutions that directly address Africa's unique challenges. The Learn to Earn program is a key component, rewarding students for their knowledge acquisition, retention, and application with Actuate tokens. These tokens serve as both an incentive and a means to further their projects. Through this faucet, we aim to see innovative solutions that tackle issues like energy, agriculture, health, and technology, all while nurturing a new generation of problem solvers. Join us in the Actuate STEM Knowledge Translation Faucet and be a part of the change. Transform your knowledge into real-world impact and contribute to a brighter future for Africa. Empower your potential. Innovate for Africa. To the Actuate Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics program, which is known as STEM Knowledge Translation Faucet, where we empower learners across African universities to transform their STEM knowledge into practical solutions for real-world challenges facing Africa. Our primary goal is to equip students with a framework for translating their STEM knowledge into actionable solutions. We believe in fostering a culture of innovation and problem-solving within the African STEM community. Our objectives are clear. Provide learners with a structured approach to translating their STEM knowledge. Encourage innovation and critical thinking among STEM students. Incentivize learning through our Learn to Earn program, where students earn Actuate tokens. Promote the development of solutions that directly address Africa's unique challenges. The Learn to Earn program is a key component, rewarding students for their knowledge acquisition, retention, and application with Actuate tokens. These tokens serve as both an incentive and a means to further their projects. Through this faucet, we aim to see innovative solutions that tackle issues like energy, agriculture, health, and technology, all while nurturing a new generation of problem solvers. Join us in the Actuate STEM Knowledge Translation Faucet and be a part of the change. Transform your knowledge into real-world impact and contribute to a brighter future for Africa. Empower your potential. Innovate for Africa. To the Actuate Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics program, which is known as STEM Knowledge Translation Faucet, where we empower learners across African universities to transform their STEM knowledge into practical solutions for real-world challenges facing Africa. Our primary goal is to equip students with a framework for translating their STEM knowledge into actionable solutions. We believe in fostering a culture of innovation and problem-solving within the African STEM community. Our objectives are clear. Provide learners with a structured approach to translating their STEM knowledge. Encourage innovation and critical thinking among STEM students. Incentivize learning through our Learn to Earn program, where students earn Actuate tokens. Promote the development of solutions that directly address Africa's unique challenges.
Alda, audio now unmuted. Press Alt to show or hide meeting.
All right, let's get started.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and good evening. I hope you had a great day and a great week. Today is Friday, so I hope you had a wonderful week. And today we are here again for yet another Actuate incentivized STEM Learn to Earn session. So today we are going to have a discussion about how we can utilize quadratic funding approach to enhance exteriorization phase in STEM knowledge translation and commercialization process. So our topic master today is Mr. Chapewa Damian. You will take us through you will present, and then after there, I will invite comments and remarks from our CEO, Dr. Macharia Warwingi. And then after there, I will invite comments and
Student has joined space.
questions from you participants. Then after there, I will touch about the summit, then we will wrap up. So let me invite our topic master, Damian Chapewa. Mr. Damian, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sir Narokwe, for this warm welcome. My name is Damian. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So today we are going to discuss about quadratic funding for externalizations phase or stages in STEAM knowledge translation. So today we are going to give out about introduction and talk about key wave externalization phases. How do we mean in this broad knowledge of STEM? But also we're going to check some ways how to create these key wave phases or stages in the context of STEM knowledge translation. At the end of the time, we're going to see about successful stories about these issues of key wave externalization stages or phases in STEM. And finally, I'm going to conclude. So let's explore the phases of key wave in the context of STEM. There are some of the terminology here. I hope everyone understands about this key wave quadratic funding. I hope we learned several times. So key wave or quadratic funding is a novel approach or mechanism to fundings about the public goods that aim to distribute resources. Matching contributions using of this quadratic formula and the community-driven allocation, crowdfunding mechanism that promote the fairness, including fundings for public goods, unlike traditional fundraising. So this key wave ensures equitable allocations based on community support. And sometimes just controlled by this decentralized finance that aims to create about the financial system that operates without using these central authorities such as banks or intermediaries. That is all about the meanings of quadrant funding. So let's check when you talk about externalization phase. When we refer to term externalization in relation to quadratic funding phases, we are just emphasizing the process of bringing quadratic funding into action beyond the theoretical discussions or planning. So this involves implementing QWave in real-world scenarios, such as funding scientific research, provide about education programs, and community-driven initiatives. That is all about. So STEM, it's just a broad term. It involves science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we're just involving these terminologies because they correlate. And first of all, you need to know what is science, by the way. What is technology? What is engineering? What is the mathematics? These words are related in terms of applications. We need science to innovate technology. And this technology needs some engineering and applications with mathematics. So what is the science, by the way? It's like a systematic study of the structure and the behavior of the physical and the natural world through observation, experimentations, and the testings of theories against the evidence that have been obtained. What is engineering? It's all about a branch of science and technology concerned with the design, building, and the use of engines, machines, and structures. You see, engineering involves some of the science and the technology to invent something in order to do something new. But what is the technology? Technology is just the applications of scientific knowledge for practical purposes or certain applications. You know, technology uses scientific principles that applies them to change the environments in which humans live. And lastly, mathematics is just abstracting of science using of numbers or quantities to abstract a certain concept. That is all about STEM. So there is no any issues of doing application about QF in different projects without using this system, because STEM combines weight of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics during the applications of this. So in order a project to be successful, we should have these terms. We need some mathematic formula during applications of this QF in a project that we are going to initiate at a certain community level according to the needs of a certain community and biodiversity at large. In summary, exhalations signify the practical applications and execution in QF phases in order to achieve a specific goals within a given context. So that is the what I can say about meaning of QF, actualization phase, and some of the stages in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So let's check about this actualization phases or stages in QF in the applications of this system. You know, in QF phases, we need to execute in order to achieve a specific goals within a given context. So the first phase in this application is creation of a matching pool of funds. The process begins by setting aside a pool of funds specifically for matching contributions. This pool will be used to match donations by the community, they must have a fund. They must have people who can contribute in order to get some money or cash to buy or to run a certain project. People must distribute. When you distribute, you earn more. When you distribute, you earn more, and those funds are going to learn about a certain project. And this, it can be matching pools about a certain project. It can be about water projects. It can be about planting trees for the environment conservation. It can be about electricity productions. So any project that you see, these have benefit to the community, that the community can benefit from this project. So they must have some donors to contribute for the benefit of the community by looking about their programs. Phase number 2 of stages is all about the community support and donations. As I've been said before, these pools of funds come from the community support and some donors, sponsors. You know, the heart of quadratic funds lie in the community involvement, which are individuals contribute to public good they value. This individual donate serve as the foundations for the matching process. You can't having a matching policy without these bridges, community support and donations. That's why we always invite these donors and sponsors, at least to fund a certain project for the contributions and development of the community at large. After making about these donors, there must be agreeable a quadratic formula. You can't accept a certain project without having agreement on a quadratic formula. The formula must be upright in order to bring all together. And the formula must rely on the fairness of the community and the donors at large in this STEM application. You know, this keywave uses a quadratic formula to determine the matching funds. This formula combines both large and small contributions, ensuring fairness and inclusivity. Smaller donations receive greater weight, leveling the playing field. That is what we need, a quadratic formula, and this formula must be simple to all, and all people should understand about this. And the last way is distributions of matching funds. There must be a distribution. How do you use these funds for the distribution? What is the purpose? This fund determine a quadratic formula and which has been distributed to support, can be about the public goods, such as open source software. It can be about scientific research. It can be about the public projects. So allocations of these funds is going to raise that project. It can be actuate about water, natural water conservations. It can be about maybe using of hydraulic power to produce electricity. A certain project that you see this has benefit to the community according to the problem, tragedies. It can be about certain of drought at a certain area, calamities. So by ensuring starting about this planting campaign to the community, so we make the world green, because when we planting trees, we are going to make rainfall. During the formation of rainfall, there must be trees. I hope everyone knows. So about this, we are going to double impact. We get trees, we get rainfall. So we are going to have benefit for both. So the community is gonna be satisfied with this and is gonna be happy for life But by doing this, it is all need this scientific, technology, engineering, and mathematics in order for these issues to be successful. Remember, QF's aims to democratize funding that promote equitable resources allocations within communities. So, by looking about those phases or stages, so let's go to check about some ways for creation, some steps for creations of QF phases in context of STEM knowledge. As I've been said before, we're just involving about the science, technology, engineering, and the mathematics. So here is some of the details, breakdowns about this. The first one, steps for creation of these QF phases in the context of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. You must define the purpose and the scope. An objective, you must provide a clearly articulate objective. The purpose, and what is the purpose of applying this QF in STEM? That is used for research, findings, education, programs. You see, what is your consideration to identify the specific goals for this STEM domain? Computer science, biotechnology, engineering, whatever. And you need to define that goals that promote equity, supporting innovations, and fostering support collaboration. That is the first step. Step number 2, you should assemble stakeholders in the resources. Gather the key stakeholders who will contribute. You must involve this private organization, these educational institutions, or government agencies, or an individual donors to allocate about these resources, finance for matching contributions. And number 3, it is all about community engagement and outreach. Objectives is only to encourage about community participations and donations. And in considerations, it is all about to raise awareness about these QF initiatives through workshops, trainings, or conferences, and the different online platforms that we do right now. Engage scientific educators, students, industry professionals that highlight the impact of small individuals' contributions. And the number 4, it is to design about the matching formula. Ever been said before, there must be acceptable and agreeable matching formula in order to create this. Objectives, develop the fair formula that will be so equally to both. Using a quadratic formula that amplifies smaller donations, balancing the principle both. Ensure transparency and the simplicity in the formula so as all people can understand. Launch the campaigns and do social needs to kick off these QF campaigns. Constellation, set the timelines for these donation corrections. Promote about STEM's projects that aligns with the community need. Encourage about this diverse participation. To our area or community, the problems is about droughts. This is another tragedy. So you must provide education to solve this. A research to resolve this, we must do what? We must planting trees. If we plant trees, we're going to solve about drought at a certain community. So how to do this? It is to invite donors and sponsors for a matching pool and setting formula in order to distribute this funding to success about a certain project. But what we need, we must have these professionals from science, technologies, and engineering in order to support those projects. So you base to a certain project, no? Water resource conservations, water resources, those engineerings who are dealing about there. We must involve about all professionals who are dealing with environment conservation. But another is about you collect donations and calculating matching funds. You know, the objectives, gather individual contributions and determine the matching amount. Regulars update the matching pools based on incoming donations, apply the QF to calculate matching funds, communicate progress to donors, allocate matching funds. How? You need to distribute funds to STEM project. Considerations, you must prioritize projects with the community support. Fund research, education programs, infrastructure development, innovations. Yeah. Allocating much funding to a certain any issues. Maybe people to a certain hospital lacking of these medicines or drugs. So they must have, we must allocate this funding to such project. Hospital, health centers that provide these health services by doing innovations to welcome these donors, professionals, medical doctors, or any donors, these health NGOs concerning with such issues. That's all. But another issue I can say, there are some of the STEM success stories in East Africa. For example, in Tanzania, we're just having Elizabeth Mlema. This is a project that initiated about the gateway to science book. They said to some areas, some schools and universities find some of the schools missing this library. So they decided to start a project that called Gateway to Science Book, especially to those science faculties. So they recognize the shortage of mathematics books in Tanzania high schools and the university that aims to provide valuable resources for the students through online. So something like that. When you go Kenya, Uganda, there something called Young Engineers Uganda. So they provide only STEM educations, and the program has been achieved remarkable success across East Africa. Yeah, so those are some of the success STEM stories in East Africa. You know, some ways to success, which ways they used to success about this STEM. The first one, they promote STEM awareness. They educate, they raise awareness about these various STEM educations among students, parents, and community. They share about the success stories with STEM professionals, especially women, and representative groups to inspire young learners. They support STEM education. They provide about the scholarship. They provide targeted scholarship to the students pursuing this STEM field. I mean, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They provide about the mentorship, offer mentorship programs connecting to students with STEM role models. So this made them area exposure that introduces students to STEM-based career opportunities. They invest in different training, including professional development, supporting teachers' training programs to enhance STEM teaching skills. They're using different modern approaches to encourage this method to make students engage in practical problem solving. They collaborate with different business and institutions. private sector's partnership, engage with companies investing in STEM programs. They provide about this internship, providing internship to practical experiences for the students about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So they collaborated to ensure this system aligns with the interest needed. Conclusively, I can say every small effort contribute to the building of a strong STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics ecosystem in this country. Thank you very much. Thank you, James. Asanteni.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Damian, for that comprehensive presentation about how this mechanism, which is quadratic funding, can help us improve how the process of exteriorization, and also for those amazing case studies. So let me welcome Dr. Macharia, our CEO, for a few comments. Doc, you're welcome.
All right, Augustine, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Mr. Chapewa, Damien. Well, did I say correctly? Chapewa.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for a very enlightening session on, on quad. QF, that's quad F for translation or exteriorization of STEM. Thank you. We had a very deep discussion last week about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Remember, we said that mathematics is the queen of science, and science is the queen of engineering. See? So those things are arranged that way. Mathematics. So who is the queen of who? Mathematics is the mother of all of them. And remember, we say that we have gone through how many? 4 iterations of mathematics. From the very old mathematics of geometry by, what was his name? I forget his name now. Let's say the 4 notions of geometry that way back in before Christ, like 400 BC. Okay, then we came through arithmetic by Aristotle. Then we came through calculus. So, and of course, the original geometry helped us to understand geometry. Remember, they put up those pyramids of Egypt using geometry. And those geometrical notions. And those pyramids are wonders of the world. How did they do it? And they're still there. Even I think Moses was working on that project. The biblical Moses. And so that was very long time ago, mathematics. Then the mathematics came along to give us arithmetics, which is Aristotle. Calculating, doing calculating money, calculating balance sheets, which is what builds the old economics. And unfortunately, even the banks, the people in finance sector still use that even today. But then they have not moved from there. Then we got calculus by Isaac Newton. Before that, there was algebra, of course, algebra. But then we got calculus. And I think calculus was the one that helped us to calculate the interest rates for the debt, finance debt. So that's all calculus. But that was the old math, which the finance system is built on that. And of course, that was good for the physical world, because when from geometry to calculus, we understand the physical world. After Isaac Newton's laws of motion, we got the motor vehicle engine, the combustion engine, based on the physical laws of mathematics. Yes, and I told you that Isaac Newton published that work in 1600, I think 1659, or sometimes there. In the book, he's called Principia Mathematica, or the Principles of Mathematics. For those who are interested, and I think all of you here must be interested in that, you want to go to Google and look for that book. I mean, Isaac Newton's work, 1600. It's still living today, just like the Living Bible. That's what you call living text. So that you can see when Isaac describes 3 laws of motion. The laws of inertia, which means that when an object is at rest, it says it stays at rest unless it's acted upon by another force. And he called that law of inertia. And it said force is equals to mass times acceleration squared, ma squared. Force is equals to mass times what? Times velocity? Yeah. So something like that. Then he also said that when an object is in motion, it stays in motion unless also acted upon by another force to stop it, an external force. And he called that the law of friction. And that is what people have used to create the braking system. Even to create moving cars, because a car cannot move if there's no friction on the tarmac. See, that helps to instruct the locomotion. So they're called laws of motion. Those are laws of inertia. And then he gave us another law, it's called the law of gravity, the gravitational force. I think called force. F is equal to m squared, that force. That we are all subject to that gravitational force. Where does it come from? It's universal. Then eventually he found out that force is coming from the rotation of the planets. Yeah, those are the details of that succession. You see, why was Isaac Newton able to do that? You see, that's the process of exteriorization. Exteriorize is to fish out knowledge, you bring it out to the surface, and then you give it to the people. Imagine you're cooking food, you're there in the kitchen cooking, then you bring out the food to serve to the people. You exteriorize it, bring it out to the exit. You bring it outside so that you can serve the food to the party. Of course, as you have heard from Damien, for you to serve food to the party, you need to have a community who is going to eat the food, right? So before you invite people, before you start making food for the party, you need to know who is going to eat the food. So there's no party if there's no people coming to eat. You know that? So that's it. So that when you're creating something, a technology like that, you have to be thinking about who is going to be partaking of the knowledge products that you're going to issue out to the world. So if you have turned water into wine, you have to have people at a party to come and drink your wine. Okay. So that is, you could say, the big picture of exteriorization. That mathematics of that's called mathematics of order. And I explained to you in 1776, somebody also very ingenious who was doing the moral philosophy. Moral philosophy is the philosophy of how we live together among ourselves, known as Adam Smith, took that work of Isaac Newton, the work of calculus, and created the economic theory, which he published in the book known as Wealth of Nations. Also, all of you want to read that book, Adam Smith's work, Wealth of Nation, Wealth, an inquiry into the wealth of nations. Why is it important to you? Because that inquiry of the wealth of nations is the basis of the economic theory that we use today. All the finance markets, everything, democratic, whether they are democratic countries or they are communist or socialist countries or social democratic socialism. See, like an economy like Kenya, economy like Tanzania, economy like United States, Great Britain, or the entire European Union, or even China, the red communist China, or even Russia, they're all built on that foundational economic theory that was published by Mr. Adam Smith in 1776. Read that book. Now, that economic theory was based on the laws of the physical universe. It's explained to us by who? By who? By Isaac Newton. See? So it looks like Adam Smith took the works of Isaac Newton, all of it, and used it to create an economic theory, which we use today. And for those of you who are here, you will understand that economics, there was a huge, conflict between how to apply those economic theories and even to calculate economics. And economics science, which some people argue is not even a science, but it's based on mathematics, evolved to become two categories. One of them is known as demand side economics, and the other one is the supply side economics. Because economics has got two sides. When you supply a product, but then who are you supplying? This means that there has to be demand for that product. But that's a story for another day, because you want to understand that when you're a STEM student. Because a STEM student, 100% should be on the supply side economics. I'll tell you why. Supply side, and explain to you the demand side and the difference between demand side and supply side. Supply is when you create something that never existed before, and then you can supply it to the people. Okay? Then you're going to assume that when you supply that product, then the people will take it. So there is no market before. You're creating something new. Now, such a person has got the mindset of a creator. I mean, that's what you say, the person of Genesis 1, the person who shed lights into new areas of knowledge and then create something absolutely new to help people improve their life. For example, when Isaac Newton created the laws of motion, it's not because he had seen it somewhere before. So he supplied us with a new theory of understanding friction and understanding movement, so people were able to create vehicles, transportation, and all that. So that is called supply side, and that is this economics that drives this STEM or STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So don't be confused by all these new economists. They call new economists who are the demand side economists. Demand side, and if you find you put it in healthcare and say running governments like political system, it's built on the demand side economics. They say when you, for example, want to create a project, they will give you a lot of heat asking you what is the demand of your project. Yeah. Because like as if you can know the demand before you supply it. But that's what you know. So demand side the economics, you have to do a lot of calculations to calculate the demand. And people ask you to do calculations of the market demand. For STEM, market demand is complete nonsense. It's foolishness. Okay? Because the demand is created by the supply. It sounds almost paradox, like upside down. So the demand is created by the supply. Let me give you an example. So for example, in Kenya, before there was M-Pesa, there was no demand for M-Pesa. Nobody wanted M-Pesa. Nobody went to Safaricom and say, can you guys create for us M-Pesa? But after Safaricom created M-Pesa, supplied M-Pesa, there was a lot of demand for M-Pesa, such that every single individual in Kenya now wants to be on M-Pesa. So that mindset of creating new things so that you can supply new things That is known as supply side economics. It's the most fascinating, and it's the only economics that drives STEM. So if you are in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, somebody is asking you for market demand for the product you're trying to create, tell him to hit the bush. You don't want to see him because the supply creates its demand. Supply creates demand. Somebody made a movie a long time ago saying that you build it and they'll come. You build it as they come. That's you call the field. What's the name of that movie? The Field of something. I think the Field of Vision. I remember the name. So you can also watch that movie where the movie's idea was that you build it and they will come. I think it's called the Field of Dreams, something like that. So STEM, STEM, is the field of dreams. So that I just wanted to make sure you understand that the only mathematics that responds to supply side economics is what we talked about last week, based on now the third step in mathematics, which was thermodynamics. Okay. First, you see that we have come all the way to Isaac Newton, who brought us calculus, but then in the early 1800s, we got people like, I think Ludwig Clausius giving us the laws of thermodynamics. So we had the first law of thermodynamics, which gave us the combustion engine, because it means that if you heat something, you increase energy, and energy now can move the products. So it's actually an addition to the laws of motion. Remember, when Isaac Newton was giving us the laws of motion in 1600s, he could not explain the energy equation. So where was the energy coming from? And the heat itself. So heat was not understood. So thermodynamics is something that came out in 1800 by workers Carnot and Ludwig Clausius, people like that. And they gave us the first law of thermodynamics, which is all mathematics. Now, first of all, you guys also need to go and download that. If it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're doing physics, chemistry, biology, whatever you're doing, you must study these things so you understand it, because the knowledge is available. There's a lot of YouTube videos and that you can listen to and watch and learn, because you want to understand that revolution of the mathematics itself and how it has guided us in science, science. So first law of thermodynamics. Then, as people are working on the first law about heat, you see there's a lot of things that are not making sense. There's a lot of things going crazy, and they must be guided by another law, because the first law of thermodynamics is internal combustion engine, but there's something external to that. And so that's when you got the second law of thermodynamics, which is called entropy. Because entropy, so up to the first law of thermodynamics, that was mathematics of order, creating order or equilibrium. And you see the economics theory, even Adam Smith, was mathematics of equilibrium. Even today, the demand side people, the demand side economics, they're trying to find out equilibrium. They're trying to balance equilibrium, okay? And so if there's no equilibrium, then they keep saying, and of course, they're trying to predict what is going to happen in the future using probabilities, equilibrium, and all that stuff. And that is because it goes up to the first law of thermodynamics until people understood there's something else called disequilibrium, which is now, by understanding the second law, which is called disorder. Disorder is now a new form of mathematics, which Ludwig Clausius gave us a formula for entropy. And that formula for entropy stayed silent, but people could understand how to understand disorder and disequilibrium, or what you could call randomness. Random events happening out of the blue. The probabilities of things happening, but you did not think they would happen. That's random, stayed silent for maybe another century until 1948, when 1948, when Shannon himself, Claude Elwood Shannon, gave us the mathematical theory of communication, and he said, information can be, you can actually explain mathematics. You can explain information with mathematics. They say, what kind of mathematics can you use to explain information? Information is random. Like what you're saying, what you're likely to say. For example, what Damien is likely to tell us the next minute, we cannot even predict. It's totally unpredictable. So that means it's not, you cannot have an equilibrium in that sense. It is highly random. So it's the mathematics of randomness, which had come from entropy. And of course, Claude Elwood Shannon worked really hard to figure out how he can use that second law of thermodynamics to create a law for information. And he called that mathematical theory of communication, to create a mathematical formula for information, how the randomness of information. And that's the beauty of it. And you see, that's the foundation of computer science. Why I want to repeat that, because you already talked about it last week, is so that you all can understand it. Also, look for that article. Where you look for that article, it's not article 48, I think it's a 48-page manuscript, published also in 1948 by Shannon. It's called Mathematical Theory of Communication. And I want to insist that you do that, because you're not going to get good if you don't understand these things. Because if you don't understand these things, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to do it, to cope with the new economy, the economy that is giving Mr. Ruto of Kenya, President Ruto, an extreme headache. What Ruto is going through right now is the mathematics of randomness. He has no clue, because the theory underpinning the rise of the Gen Z is not the Gen Z itself as such. It's not the Gen Z that is itself, but it's because they have what you would call a tool, a leverage, as we talked about last time. The leverage is a tool. They have a tool that is built on, it's founded on the second law of thermodynamics, which is the mathematics of randomness. So because it's founded on mathematics of randomness, in the old math, you could actually have one leader, say like someone like Kalonzo Musyoka, or even someone like Raila Odinga, who you can know because that is person, it's not random, it's one specific individual. And so that kind of leadership was centralized. As you can see, there was an equilibrium that after everything is said and done, you have one person. All you have to go is do a handshake with that person, and the problem is over. But in the new math, there's no single person to shake hands to, because it is mathematics of randomness, distributed, decentralized. So randomness is equals to decentralization, and that's why we're here. And quadratic funding, as we're talking about, is a science of decentralization. So based on that preamble, in terms of you understanding mathematics and why this is very, very powerful, I think it's really important for you to understand that, so that somebody from old math can be coming to question what you're doing. Don't bother with such a person. That's a person of old math from the demand side. Somebody who doesn't understand supply. Now, creating supply, that's the supply side economics, which found its theoretical foundation, found its mathematics, which is mathematics of randomness. It became very, very happy from the work of Shannon, because, for example, M-Pesa would not have been possible. That randomness, that random distribution of something totally new to supply something new so that the supply creates demand, that would not have been possible without mathematics of randomness. See? So that's supply side. So people who are in deep, old mathematics, who are demand-side economists. Where do you find such people? You find them at the International Monetary Fund, you find them at the World Bank, you find them at the central banks, you find them at national governments, because they rely upon the old math. They're not bad people. They're just on the wrong side. They're on the wrong side of the boat, as it said. Let's see, they are on the wrong side of the boat. They've been left behind without being conscious of it. It's like the way you could fall asleep and then you wake up and everybody is speaking another language, or maybe you fall asleep, then people take you away to another country, and then you wake up and you find people are speaking another language. So the only thing that can save you is something called, how do they call it in Christian terms? So the only thing that can help you in that is something called Pentecostal moment. Pentecostal moment, so that you can start speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues helps you to acknowledge that there's a change in theory, so that now you can use these theories are the governing theory, the theories that governing the movement. Okay, so for all of you scientists, you want to understand the science of the age, or the science of the epoch. Okay, the science of the epoch. I want to say that the third time, science of the epoch. What's the epoch? In what epoch are we? We're in the epoch of randomness, the epoch of disequilibrium, the epoch of disorder, the epoch of decentralization. All right, so you understand those things. Just write all those things down. Not even with a pen, write them on your heart, that we are in the epoch of decentralization. And we are not going back to the epoch of what? We're not going back to that epoch of centralization. We are never, never, ever going back. Because once something has come out, you cannot put it back. Like the genie is out of the bottle, so you cannot put the genie back. So the gene of decentralization, which relies upon science of decentralization, is out. So now let's come to the basics, to the nitty-gritty, to the granular level. When you talk about exteriorization, as we have said before, is what people call harvesting. So harvesting has several attributes. Like when you harvest knowledge, for example, you've gone to, supposing now you are in college, and we're in engineering college, say like JQuat, or maybe KU Department of Engineering, or have the really university, School of Engineering, or even medicine, or whatever technology you are learning. So you spend a lot of time exploring just by reading a lot of material, even trying to gather knowledge from your professors and teachers, and even reading documents from old literatures. So to exteriorize knowledge, you end up with an idea that you want to take to the community, that you want to supply. That idea is going to ask of you to create a process. A process is a sequence of technologies, so that you do not get confused by people, like what are you doing? You say, you just create some technologies that you can take now to the community, just like somebody created M-Pesa, which now was brought to the community. So you want to create a process. This process is what's called engineering. Okay, you want to create a process. Now M-Pesa is what kind of engineering that? It's called software engineering. So engineering is creating any process that now can help people. But that process is done by a machine. So the machine for M-Pesa is the software that's running the software that's running M-Pesa. So to give you very basic processes that we are able to do as young students in a place like JQuat or Kenyatta University or even University of Dar es Salaam, anyway, There are many basic processes that people in the community would need very, very much. It's only that we do not know. We think because we have been talking with old math people, they would first ask you questions about what's the demand for that thing that you're trying to create. And then you get stuck because you do not know the demand. Nobody knows the demand before they supply the product. So the supply creates a demand. So you want to understand that. By the way, that mathematics of supply side mathematics, okay, that is known as Austrian economics. Austrian economics, because it's taught in Austrian school. Written by Friedrich Hayek from the Austrian School of Economics. That Austria is no, of course, I think is in Europe, European university is called Austrian economics. In the United States, that type of economics, supply side economics, is taught in University of Chicago and University of Alabama. Okay, so you know. Now for the old universities like Harvard, Columbia, George Washington, many of these universities, because they create to advise government on the demand side economics. So the Austrian economics is, if you go with that economics, then you will be free, liberated. You are liberated to know what to do, even to say, without having to worry about working out the market demand for the products that you're creating that's new, because the supply creates its own demand. That's the word you want to tell people. Supply creates demand. That is all Austrian school, which is known as freshwater economics. Freshwater. Why is it freshwater? Because it's next to the Great Lakes, which have got fresh water out there in Chicago. The other economics, the demand side, is called saltwater economics because it's next to Atlantic Ocean, which is Harvard University School of Economics, and also University of London School of Economics, and all these universities in the East Coast of the United States. They are demand side economics. See, those are the two general schools of economics. So supply side economics is the one that acknowledges science of randomness. So let's go back to your product. What I would like to give you an example, because I toured lots of universities in Kenya, those technical universities, including JKUAT, that's Jomo Kenyatta, University of Agriculture and Technology. I went to Masida Muliro, I went to Maseno, I went to Technical University of Kenya, it's called TUK, which is in Nairobi. And I also visited the Technology University of Mombasa and the Dedan Kimathi University of Technology in Nyeri, and so many other. There are so many universities, technical universities in Kenya. I toured all of them. I first understand why, what is going on, and why is the technologies that are being created by the students and the professors, why is it not reaching the communities? And I found some fascinating projects that are going on inside those universities. One of the projects, give you an example, I'll give you two of them. One of them is a coconut product project, coconut project. So that's done by the group in Mombasa and also in JKUAT. So they have developed a process for extracting coconut products from the coconut itself to create a whole bunch of products. So they work with Griama women, Griama or Mijikenda women in the coast to create beauty products for women using coconut oil. They use cooking products, and then what else will they use? Healing products, because I was saying that coconut oil has got healing. It's got, first of all, you know, if you apply to the skin, it has got healing properties for the skin. See? So coconuts, so the students at JKUAT and Technical University of Mombasa, they already know that. Then all they have to do, they study at the university how they can create a machine to extract those coconut products and sort them and then arrange them so they can be packaged into containers for sale. You see, easy stuff. Easy, easy, busy. You can do that with your eyes closed. But we are not doing it. Why are we not doing it? Because we are told that you have to write grants from to get money, funding from, this granting organization, blah, blah, blah. And so women in the community, women, like those Griama women, the Medicator women, they actually know all the applications of those coconut products. They do them. They use them all the time. But those coconut products, you cannot find them in Nyeri. Why? Because Nyeri, for those people who don't know Nyeri, Nyeri is in Central Province near Mount Kenya. It could be about how many? 800 kilometers from the coast. So it is in the highlands of Kenya. So it means that if you go to a supermarket in Nyeri, you cannot find those products. So those products, you can only find them in the village with coconuts. And yet, the students at JQuat and took the Technical University of Mombasa, they already know what you need to do. What stops the students from JQuat from creating an industrial process for now exteriorizing that coconut? Like, they need to exteriorize the knowledge they know and take it to Mombasa and now create a fascinating, wonderful manufacturing process to bring that coconut oil to all the ladies in Kenya so that they can enjoy them for making serious beauty products, not only for the hair, but for the skin lotion, now, and even for cooking, for making those delicious cookies and mandazis made with coconut oil. Why? 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 Because they are not aware of the supply side economics. They don't know. Supply creates a demand, and yet JQuat is the center of financial engineering. So why is it that the financial engineering at JQuat cannot advise the other guys who are in industrial process engineering how to create products, how to create a process, a technical process, that's engineer process to come and extract all that coconut and take it to the people and sell it? Because in old economics, that was not possible. Because people would start asking you to do a feasibility study. That is what's called complete baloney. What feasibility study had Safaricom done to distribute M-Pesa? What feasibility study? Anyone asking for a feasibility study, tell him that he is in old science. Tell him he's in old science and you do not want to hear any stories about that, because the supply side economics does not acknowledge such nonsense. Okay, that's pure nonsense. Because like that is trying to predict the future instead of creating the future. The future is created, is not predicted. You cannot predict the future, but you create the future. See? It's what you do that creates the future you truly want. It's not sitting down and predicting the future, but sitting down philosophizing that, oh, that if we now sold, we create M-Pesa, we are going to have 15 million people signing up into M-Pesa. No, you create that future. The future you create. That means, first of all, you have to believe that that future is possible so that you can create it. So you start from the future and then you come to the present where you are. That is really what is very, very hard thing to do. But that is the supply side economics. Okay? So you understand that. I hope that you guys are getting it. These things have nothing to do with prediction. Prediction science is what you call false prophets. False prophets. It was described by James about false prophets. Those people tell you they can predict the future. The future is created because all of you, all of us, we are creators. And unless you get to understand that, then it becomes very, very hard. So prediction is false prophecy unless you create the future. You can only predict the future if you're creating it. Okay, so that's the thing. Now to explain to you why this thing has been very, very difficult. And I want to give you another example of a product that I also found in Jquat that is quite simple, which they call a pulping machine. Pulping is to remove pulp from oranges, so that you can now put those oranges into either in containers, whether they are tin containers or plastic containers or carton containers, and so it's like laminated cartons, so I can have fruit juice. Now, let me tell you, in Jquat, they have a machine made by students, Jquat students, and they teach these students how to do that, to make such a pulping machine. So that's part of the courses. What you during exploration, you are learning those things. How can you make a pulping machine, which you can now take to your village and help all those people producing oranges to turn those orange into pulp, and then that pulp juices that can be packaged into containers and then sold in the supermarket. But the only one project I saw coming out of there is a project by Kivuda Kibwana for Makueni County, who had talked with Professor Kihata of Jquat, and Professor Kihata was helping him to do a fruit processing industry in Makueni County. I don't know how far that's gone right now, but the project is very simple. So when you want now to exteriorize knowledge, you want to think about three things. This is what Damian was talking about, the process. Three things that have to go into that in order for it to work. Besides having the community, three things. The first thing, because it's a machine you're talking about, as I told you, this STEM is making a machine for processing. A processing machine, like M-Pesa is a processing machine for processing money. So you want to think about the input. What input will that machine be consuming? In some engineering fields, it's called feedstock. On what raw materials are you going to be feeding into that machine? Feedstock. So, say for example, in the oranges pulping machine, you want to say the feedstock is going to become oranges. So then you say, if I take it to my village where we grow lots of oranges, these oranges grow wild in some places, then you just invite the people with oranges and tell them, I've got a machine, just come to my house and I'm going to turn them into juice. So you can actually go to the village and buy people's oranges and package them into juices, and then you're going to be selling them. So that thing of packaging them into juices, or maybe extracting that orange to pack them into juices, is what's known as process. So you have the input, which is the feedstock, then you have the process. And the thing that comes out of that packaged juice is known as output. So that is now, we're coming out to management science. So in management, you think about input, process, output. In everything, every organization has got only those three things: input, process, output. Okay? So that input, process, output is happening in the stage of exteriorization. That's what you call grading, because we say that exteriorization has got harvesting, which now gives you harvest the knowledge, then you have got input, process, output. The output is what eventually, the processing and output gives you the grade or the product you're going to give to the market. So input, process, output. So you want to understand that. So what I think is the issue here with STEM students or engineering students is that the management philosophy is not taught to them. It's seriously simple. All you have to do, you have made a machine, you think about inputs, where are the raw materials going to come from, which is called what? The feedstock. process is the machine you have created. And then the output is what comes out of that, which you want to sell to the people. And that's what now relates to the community. Input, process, output. So for all those people who go to business school after School of Engineering, that's the only thing they would teach you there. And that's what's called management. Management is about understanding where to get the inputs. It's also understanding how to process those inputs, and then how to sort them out in outputs, packaging them into containers so that you can ship them out to the consumers. See? Input, process, output. Now, the problem we have now in Africa is that there is not a single university, not anyone that I know, except maybe South Africa and Egypt, where there is an office or say a department or a directorate in a university that helps students with that process. You see, that has come from engineering and mathematics and technology into management. Okay, it's a whole different discipline. All right, it's a whole different discipline. In the United States, and maybe Europe, I think in London, you get such places that are known as Technology Transfer Office, TTO. So if you look at all the universities in Africa, you are not going to find a single Technology Transfer Office, TTO, such that there's no organized way that is helping the students to understand how to take all that knowledge they have been exploring. They are ready to exteriorize. There is no office that helps them to exteriorize the knowledge. So the knowledge is exteriorized through a technology transfer office, because this technology transfer office brings a new discipline, which is called what? Management. Okay. So we bring people who are experienced in management of understanding input, process, output, and then they can counsel or advise or mentor the young people about the management philosophy. So then they ask them a question: have you thought about the inputs? Where would the inputs coming from? Now, for example, if M-Pesa, they knew the inputs, which was people inputting their money to send them to other people, the process, the technology, and then the people receiving the money are the other people. So that is quite easy. QED, quite easily done. So you see, there is something missing, and that something missing is what Actuate is all about. It is Actuate itself, its Actuate Foundation, is to serve as a technology transfer office across African continent, because you don't have to be there physically, but then we can work out remotely with different people to teach them about that process. TTO, Technology Transfer Office, it does not exist anywhere except perhaps South Africa and Egypt, as I said, maybe Morocco, place like that. Why? Because they have these universities that we have in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa. They were inherited from the colonialists, and colonialists never, ever wanted us to know that. So it's not accidental, it's happened by design. So we can be producing people like Ruto who have no clue what is going on. So that is what is missing. Now, in the traditional finance system, in a technology transfer office, in developed country like United States, the process is so organized that you know when you're coming from stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, because you have got counselors and mentors who are mentoring you through that whole process. And they teach you about funding. So where does the money come from? So we are coming to the question of funding now. Where does the money usually come from for, say, a student at, say, Harvard University or, say, MIT, who takes the project to the technology transfer office, or say even like a place like Google? Where does the money come from? In the exteriorization stage, because you have not your product is like experimental, it's very, very early in your project, and there's no market for the products, because you're going to need to create the product so that supply can create its own demand. because there's no demand, there's no market demand. You cannot tell somebody that there's such a huge demand for my orange juice, or there's huge demand for my coconut oil products. Yeah, we can say that there's a huge demand. All those people in Nyeri, they want their beauty products, they want to beautify themselves. But that is to take that thing from the coast, from the Mijikenda, women to Nyeri is a very big distance, even financially, even to convince people. That is called high risk. So you can see that is high risk, and that's why it requires science of randomness. That high risk, the way they were funding it in the United States, they're still funding it that way, is either the government steps in, provides a lot of money. Every university has got its large universities of direct path to the national foundations. We have National Foundation of Science, National Institutes of Health, which supplies risk money, which is called patient capital. That's from the government. Or you can have granting organizations, some wealthy people like Bill Gates, they will donate a lot of money because they're not expecting to make a profit out of that. But then you come to sub-Saharan Africa, we don't have any government doing that. And because I think these governments, we did not create them, they were created by the colonizers. And then, so that was not included in education plan to have a technology transfer office in any one of the universities. So the knowledge university tends to stay there and rot there, and that's it. It becomes like a graveyard of knowledge. So the technology transfer office is what breathes life into knowledge. That knowledge, instead of staying in the university as if it's in a graveyard, it's buried there to rot, the knowledge comes out in form of products through the technology transfer office. That's the outlet. You would call the exit door, which is called the egress. So that egress of knowledge does not exist. And that's what Actuate is doing, to become the egress of knowledge. So usually what happens is that the government will give you funding. The government doesn't want the funding back. So long as you're successful, you create a product, the government will earn its money through taxation later on. So we can get patient capital, or you can get some well-wishers and angel investors and big donors like Gates Foundation and people like that, and so the products, but those people are not available in Africa unless, so you can see there was either one individual or one institution giving funding. So the one to many projects, one to many, which now draws a lot of competition, and the funding is not enough. And of course, when there's something like that, then there is favoritism. Only some people will get the money, then the rest of them. And then it creates something called the Pygmalion effect. Pygmalion effect is success to the successful. So only the successful get money, and because they get money, they become successful, and so on and so forth. So it's an escalating archetype of success to the successful, escalating archetype of the Pygmalion effect. So Pygmalion is when the successful get funded because they're successful. So everybody else who has not been successful cannot get funding because we don't think they're going to be successful. And so because we don't think they're going to be successful, they're not going to get funding. And the story continues. So you find only a few colleges and universities which are now labeled as the first-class universities. Those are the only ones. And these universities have got very low population density, and then everybody else misses out. And that's why we don't have enough products for everybody in the world, because the money is only going to a very small group of people, because the money is from one to many. Okay, because it's still distributed through that old science the old mathematics of order and equilibrium, the saltwater economics, yes, which requires you to have feasibility studies in a lot of that. It's very, very expensive things to do. So you spend a lot of money trying to profitize what is not possible to, what's not even possible to predict. You cannot predict the future because no one has ever predicted the future even once. You create the future, even the ones who receive that money, the future they create, they seem to predict by writing great, feasibility studies and proposals. That future really never comes to be the same future they say, because no one, what you're thinking in your head today, even what you're calculating is not going to be what is going to manifest tomorrow or even next year. It's going to be different. So now that is where quadratic funding comes in. That is built upon on this science of randomness, which is decentralized. In quadratic funding, as you heard from Damien, is that first of all, you need to have a community you're looking at. For example, if you are talking about the coconut oil for beauty products, and you have Mijikenda women, see, you already have Mijikenda women who are going to be supplying you with the coconut. So you have the feedstock, the inputs, and so you have a community. And maybe you can have a community of consumers in that Mijikenda county. As we were talking about yesterday, that you have about 10,000 people, you have mobilized about 10,000 people. I mean, you don't even need to do 10,000. Even 100 people together, you say, I got 100 women, and the women, I want us to work with them so that we can create a coconut processing plant. I already have created a processor. I'm in Actuate. I've created a processor. We just need some money to fund it. So each one of those women can now can agree to contribute maybe 100 shillings each person, even 1,000. It's little money. It's not much. 100 shillings to something that they can afford. So that's a community of women, and you can have them now contributing. And then we talked about matching pool. The first thing you want to make sure there's going to be matching pool funds. Matching pool would come from people you have talked to outside there who have got deeper pockets, that they can agree to give money according to formula, the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula, as we have said before, is the square root of the number of women times the amount of money each woman is contributing squared. Okay? The square root of the number of women multiplied by the amount of money each woman is contributing squared. That now the project will receive money according to that quadratic formula. But then, in order for you to receive that money, you will need to have prepared some documentation to show people what you're going to do with the money. That means that you want to use the money to build a small workshop, a small factory. Maybe a single room, can be a single room, tiny factory, where you're going to put your machine that is going to process that. And in that room, you will be employing about maybe women who are coming to work in turns, because they may not be there full time, because they can be coming on a on schedule, that you need about 10 women at any one moment to be working on the products, packaging, sorting, putting them in nice packages, and then shipping them. And so that then you can give the product to the people with transportation and people who have pickups, so they can ship them and take them to the nearest town. They can take them to the carrier, or they even create a website where you have one of the women, they are taking nice photos about the products, and then then putting those pictures on the website. You see, that is now the process itself, including the market. And then you can work with women who are in the salons in the town, like the downtown Mombasa, who owns hair salons and beauty parlors, where now they will be taking that product. Okay. And the product is very good, it's got a very nice smell, well scented. You see that people are going to use it because supply creates demand. Same thing with oranges, pulping oranges. There's so much need for oranges, vitamin C, and you can now organize that. So that is going to require you to first of all understand the total capital outlay. How much money are you going to need? That's not feasibility study. That is just calculating how much money is it going to cost you to make that to make that engineering, that processing machine. Let's say to make that machine. If you cannot make machine yourself, you can buy it from students of Professor Kihata over there in JQuat. Okay, it's not really complicated. Simple as that. You don't have to be the one making a posher meal, but you can buy a posher meal, so long as you go and implement it in the village. So you want to have a budget. That's that budget about the meal, the building itself, which is a small one room, and a place with tables where you shall be, you shall be packaging those materials and the packaging material. Okay, and then the thing for closing, whether you close it with a tape or you use it laminating machine. A laminating machine is just one machine that gets a hot iron that when you light on two opposed, say nylon sheets, they get packaged. So it's very, very simple. And maybe a machine for writing, because you need to have label. But in the beginning, you can be writing that with a pen, but then you need a measurement thing, because you can say 20 pounds or 20 kilos or 20 or 10 kilos or 1 kilo or something like that, or measure it in milliliters. So you have to have measurements. So arranging such a thing is not complicated, but you need to have money. So when you have sorted that, you will find out after doing that calculation, you see, those you will be doing with the business students or yourself, you can do accounting by counting those things up. It's not complicated. If you can't find it, then I think at Actuate, we will arrange so that we can help you calculate the costs. These are the initial costs, which is capital outlay. And then after that, you need to calculate the costs of what? The costs of the work process called what's called the work the working capital. That means paying salaries for those women to come there. Then when you have that value, that number, and then you say, we shall need to raise this money. That money, the total amount of money you need to make that business go without ceasing for 5 years, even if it doesn't make profit, that is known as total market capitalization. Okay, the highest amount of money that you need for your project to be successful. You have calculated all the capital requirement for at least 5 years. Okay, if you don't know how much money you would need for 5 years, that if you're having 10 women working every day, with maintaining the machine in the process for 5 years, then your project could fail because of lack of capital. Because there's no project that's going to break even. So you won't even understand the break even. At what point would your project break even? So you know that if you don't raise enough money, then you'll be coming back to raise money in the market, and market doesn't like that. Market does not like you if you're coming back to the market saying, give us more money. It's like begging. People don't want that. Okay? Just want to tell you that. People don't like that. They want you to tell them, we need 5 million shillings, so they can help you raise 5 million shillings for 5 years. After that, they will come. They don't want to hear from you again. that unless now you have a product. So that's what you need to know, that you need to have that understood well. 5 years, 5 million shillings in Kenya shillings, and then it's going to take me for 5 years to create this product. The worst thing that happens is undercapitalization of a project. Okay. Now, because you're doing quadratic funding, every woman is involved, and then you have matching funds. So the people, the big people with big pockets, could be people in the diaspora. But you say, for example, you're talking about Giriama women. They have a lot of people from Giriama itself, Giriama community, who live in the diaspora. They would be very happy to know that somebody is building a factory in their hometown. Mhm. And you see, the only way that we can coordinate that is using the blockchain money like Actuate token. So the people in the diaspora can buy the Actuate tokens to help fund the coconut processing, let's say small factory, mini factory at home, or even orange juice extracting factory at home in their own village. Yes. So then, of course, when you do that, you raise the money through quadratic funding. The next thing is allocating the funds, which if you're diligent step by step, like you are as a mathematician and an engineer and science students, all it takes is diligence. If you're diligent, you will know how to allocate that funding profitably. Not like a politician, when he's given money, he goes to buy belts and watches and stuff like that and shoes. No, put the money in the business, pay the people. Yeah, not for showing off, not for buying vain stuff. So this is for investing in the science. Because if you don't do that, you can eat the money first round, but the people never come back to you. So it's about being authentic with your communication. If you're authentic and you're giving people, you're making a product that people want and you're working on it, people are going to give you money. Okay. So basically, that is I think that long explanation of externalization, but we have cut across a very huge field. But I think we need to keep talking about these things so that we can we can just break this wide open. It's really sad what's going on in Africa. As I was explaining last week, I think I went to the Niger Delta in Nigeria. There's a lot of palm oil. Palm oil has so many uses that people are not able to extract that palm oil because there's no process. There's no technology transfer office. Even in those local universities there. And you have professors of biochemistry, biology, biochemistry, and agriculture, but even agricultural engineering, but palm oil gets lost. In fact, palm oil has got greater value than petroleum. But for the local people, but people they're not extracting the palm oil in the Niger Delta. Yeah. Okay, so there are many opportunities. I'm thinking this because you have decentralized finance. Let's build quadratic funding, and what we're working on very hard over the next several months is quadratic funding platforms. And in its full flower, Actuate Foundation itself, which is a virtual lab technology transfer office for translation of science, is going to help mobilize lots of resources for translation of all that knowledge. Externalization is the hardest part because it looks like it is unprofitable. But as you say, if now people are collecting money together like that, small villages, small communities, say 100 women together creating a coconut processing workshop, that's quite easy to raise money, and then they can supply a lot of coconut products all over the world. And then even that process of investing in such a processing plant, today people don't have to worry because the process itself, or the manufacturing processing plant, is distanced from the investment, which is now the actual token. And the actual token is independent of the processing plant in the village, but because it is in the market, in the decentralized finance market, somewhere like Uniswap or PancakeSwap. See? So that's a long story, but I hope that you all understand these things, and very beautiful. It's actually it pleases me to know and to see that we can do that. I'm very excited that we are in this epoch, the science of the age, the science of randomization, mathematics of randomness. Okay, back to you, Augustine.
Thank you so much, Doc, for that very comprehensive comments, and for always shedding light on these matters. And now I think I will invite any comment, any question, and as maybe comments and questions come, I would love just to mention one thing about the summit, that now we have thought of an idea of trying to not go to things blindly, but try to ensure that we don't leave nobody behind in terms of our stakeholders. We don't leave our stakeholders behind. So we are having a process of evaluation so that we understand what do they need, so that before the summit we are able to understand, we're able to have insights on who do someone wanna see the summit, who do some organization want to see in the summit, so that it will help us prepare very well. And that's so walk in the park approach in inviting these people, because when you approach a doctor, medical doctor, with that form, let me just share. So I hope you can see this form. It is called pre-implementation evaluation for Nairobi pre-Boston Summit. So there's this acknowledgement. Thank you for agreeing to join us at the Nairobi Summit, and your input is invaluable in shaping and an enriching experience for all participants. Please take a moment to provide us with your insights. So when you see the way the questions are structured, it helps us move forward, because we will be able to get insights on who to go for. So what I'm just adding you this evening is this form. Let's share it widely. And if you have someone who is very positive about this initiative, this conference, just approach me. I will share this one with you so that you will be able to move with him, share with him, so that now they share with us what they feel like, who they wanna see. You see the first question, there's name, there's email address. What needs to be true? That question, what needs to be true in order for summit to be of greatest value to you? You see that question. What must be done for the summit to be of greatest meaning to you? For the summit to be of greatest value to you, you see, who must be present? Organization or individual? That way, it will help us move forward very easily, and we will be able to share this during the summit on how we ensured that we catered for everyone needs, and even wants. So
Okay, we lost you. Augustine, we lost audio. Yeah. Well, maybe I can just finish up. Augustine, he has disappeared. Is that this form that Augustine is showing us is a pre-implementation form, pre-implementation.
so that's just what I wanted to emphasize today.
Oh, we lost you for a while, Augustine. Okay. Okay, I don't know what has happened. That's a Frida, can you hear me?
Yeah, Doc, sorry. I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know why you went off for a while. So that form is the pre-implementation questionnaire. And that form, we should send it to everybody you know, so that we can make sure that we are tending to their needs and wants. And the three things that we can attend to. What must be true? That's the first question. What must be true in order for the summit to be of value to you? What must be true? This means that this helps somebody to understand that summit is authentic, helps them to meet their vision. The vision is what they want to achieve in life. That's what they hope. So we want to know what must be true, even for you, you're here. What must be true? So answer those questions yourself. Okay. What must be true in order for that summit to be of the greatest value to you? And this what needs to be done, what must be done in order for the summit to be of meaning. Meaning and value are different. So meaning, it can be of value, but it has no meaning to you. But then it makes meaning when it answers your question, why? Why must you attend the summit? That's why. Okay, then the third question is about who must be present in order for you to feel fulfilled, for the summit to have meaning, that who else must be there. So feel free to share the names of people, companies, even if you want to say, okay, Barack Obama, Oprah Winfrey, or Joe Biden, something like that. Yeah, feel free to write. These are the people or organizations that you wish you could reach, but you cannot reach them. Think about the summit. It's possible to invite such people to the summit, but it's very hard for you as an individual to invite such people yourself. And then if you invite such people for you, because as soon as you tell us, we are going to invite them for you. If they agree to come, we shall work very hard to make sure you meet them. Okay? You meet whoever you say that, I would love to meet this person and this person. But because it's not a political event, don't ask us to invite politicians. We will not, but there are people that are your role models. Your role models that you look up to and you wish you could be someone like that. But they should be living, they should be alive. So don't tell us to invite Albert Einstein because we cannot get him. We can only get his spirit. So we can invite the spirit of Albert Einstein. But if you say, invite Elon Musk, yeah, why not? We shall look for Elon Musk. Well, if he doesn't come, it's not because we did not invite him for you. It is because we invited him and then maybe he said this is not good, but then you'll be surprised. If you have people like that, feel free to listen and you might think it's a joke. Whatever you think, whatever comes out of your consciousness is not a joke. It's reality for you, okay? So feel free to write that form. The other question number 4, is about how the summit is going to help you improve your career, achieve your career goals. That what must be true in order for the summit to improve your career goals. See, that's for you and also for other people. This is why this questionnaire has to go out widely. And the final question is what's the summit have to have in order to help you serve others? remember, when you're creating products, like what you're talking about, externalizing knowledge, you're not doing that for yourself. No. No. You're externalizing that knowledge so that you can serve others. So that when you serve others, then they can pay you and you become a wealthy man or wealthy woman. Okay? So you want to understand how you can serve others. And by serving others, you get paid by others. And others in this case means your clients, or even your future clients, or your customers, the consumers of your products, your community, your family, your nation, or even the world. Okay? So open up your mind and think about those questions deeply. Write answers for them. That is going to help us learn how to sharpen the conference as much as possible to serve you. Achieve those three, we call them 3 dimensions of life. 3 dimensions, your 3 dimensions. So that question about your own 3 dimensions of life. The 3 dimensions, and we talked that in the mental health class. All right, this guy, that's what I would like to add. And this is very powerful questionnaire. And even if it has a few questions, take it very seriously and spread it as widely as possible. If you're on Facebook, send it to all that you're contacting Facebook. If you're on LinkedIn, also do that. On Twitter, spread it everywhere, because this is going to make us produce a very, very sharp conference that is very powerful for the people. I mean, we're talking about a true conference that responds to the needs of individuals. Okay, back to you, Augustine.
For those comments. And now I think we are almost around 10 p.m. And I would love to say thank you for making time for this session. Staying up to the end. I think from the learning in future, around this coming week, you're going to start assessment. You must start implementing you're going to start implementing some processes of ensuring that you guys are really learning, and this virtual lab Actuate biomedicine is making impact. So I hope you guys are learning and you are appreciating this. So thank you so much. And now I just shared the form for attendance. So take your time and fill it. And after that, you're free to leave. As for now, I think the meeting is adjourned unless there is someone with a concern.
Okay. All right, bye everyone. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
Great week of science.
Thank you.